Today, we're going to talk about movement. No, the other kind of movement. Hello everyone, Semiretiredbob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, miscellaneous odds and ends, and I invite you along on my journey as I get ready to head down to Texas for the winter to start my off-grid homestead. I do have another product to tell you about, but that'll come down later. To start with, those of you new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. You might be wondering what you're watching. Well, basically what you're watching is you're watching me walk. This doesn't seem exciting until you realize that a little over 2 years ago I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for a couple minutes without severe pain. Now I'm out here walking every day. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. It means a lot to me that you choose to spend just a few moments of your day with me. I would like to ask you all to help me out. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, drop down in the comments, and say hi, Bob. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. All these things help get the word out that it's never too late to change your life. I'm 61 years old, and I'm doing things I couldn't do when I was 40. Like out here walking every day. As you can tell from my increased pace, I'm going up that long hill at a faster walk. I broke into a little bit of a sort of a run towards the top of the hill 2 days ago. So since it's been a full 48 hours, I'm going to go ahead and try and do it again here. But anytime you start a new exercise, make sure you do it slowly, because you don't want to hurt yourself. And if you're starting to try and sprint, make sure you walk and then fast walk into it, because if you just try to zoom out of the gate, you're going to end up hurting something. So I'm going to pick the speed up here just a little bit. Oh, this is quite the run. And now we'll run on up to the corner. This is a little bit farther than I went the other day. Okay. But today's talk is about movement. Not the kind of movement I just did, but the kind of movement you get when you sit down on the toilet. There's a lot of really stupid information out there, because obviously we've been told for decades, oh, you got to eat fiber. Fiber is what's going to help you go. Well, it turns out that's just not true. Because all these people that are against carnivore say, yeah, well, without fiber, you're going to be so stopped up, you can't go. It just doesn't happen. Now, there are some issues when you first get started. In my case, it was the other way around. But people seem to think that just because they're not going as often, that they're suffering from constipation. But it's just not so. Our bodies on the carnivore diet use so much more of what we take in that there just isn't nearly as much waste. Now, generally, I'm told that as you move through this, that you do sort of become regular again. For me, I go about every other day, sometimes every morning, but it's pretty consistent at every other day. For those of you that think fiber is required, there's only one kind of sort of study out there. It's not very big. I believe it was only 62 or 63 people, which means it's a small study. We certainly can't make too many conclusions off that. And as with all nutritional type studies, it's not like these people were locked in a lab. But these 63 people came to the study with idiopathic constipation, which idiopathic is a fancy word for, in medical speak, that means we don't know what's causing it. The interesting thing about this study is that, as you might expect, those that were put on a higher fiber diet, their constipation symptoms got worse. Those that were put on a lower fiber diet, their constipation symptoms got better. The interesting thing about this study is that those that were put on a zero fiber diet over the course of this study resolved all of their constipation issues, every single one of them. Does this prove anything? No. You cannot prove anything with studies that we can get done because they're not locked in the laboratory scientific studies. These people are left alone to live their lives, and they just report back. And that's the whole problem with nutrition science right now, is that it's not really nutrition science. It's nutrition guesswork. Because what they're presenting as science is not actually science. There is no nutritional science out there to be had. Now, there are some groups, we just went by the house there. There are some groups trying to get better at it. You know, they're trying to control what they can control, and limit the variables as best they can. But you're not going to get locking humans in a lab by an ethics committee. It's just not going to happen. So anytime you hear one of these gurus from the other side of the fence or our side of the fence saying, this is the study and this proves, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, or the other end, because there is no way to prove anything without actual scientific experimentation. And we just can't do that. But I did get another thing in the mail from Amazon yesterday. I got my Jackery 2000 Pro. It's the same size as my other large power station as far as how many watts of power it holds, how many watt hours. The thing that is really different is that it's a jacker. I've never made any bones about how I think Jackery is probably the best power station out there. And this one really shows it. I've got some pictures to show you in comparison. I took one showing you how much bigger it is than my Jackery 500, which is really old, and my new Jackery. And I set it down on the floor and did a top view shot next to my other large power station. You can see the Jackery is just a little bit smaller. The interesting thing about this new Jackery is that it didn't come with any power bricks for charging. All that stuff is built in. All it has is like a cord that you plug into the wall. It's like a computer cord. You plug it into the back of the Jackery, you plug it into the wall. Now my other big power station, when charging from about 40% up to full, even if I get out both power bricks and plug in both bricks into the wall in the system, it takes it about 4.5 to 5 hours to charge from 40%. This Jackery, with its fast charging system that's built in, it arrived at 42% power. I plugged it in and it took just less than an hour to charge all the way up to full. Now granted, I could practically see the electric meter spinning because all of my smaller power stations with their power bricks and such will, take somewhere between 150 and 200 watts of power out of the wall outlet and pump it into the station. This Jackery, when it went into fast charging mode, was pulling almost 1,500 watts out of my wall outlet. And then as it got closer to full, it slowed down. When I checked it just before it shut off, when it was showing 99%, it was only pulling about 250. But that's still a lot more than even the power bricks will pull. And the Jackery just feels more solid. I wouldn't have bought it because Jackeries are significantly more expensive, but I got this one on sale for, by the time taxes and everything got included, it was just a little over $1,000. So I'm very pleased with all of that. Like I said, somewhere in there I put some pictures. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to insert them, but that's my new big power system. Between those two big ones, I shouldn't have any trouble keeping my fridge and freezer running and using all the smaller ones for all the incidental stuff. And with two big ones, I can be charging one of them while the other one's running. And even if the 500 watts of solar power that I have isn't quite up to the task of charging one fully in one day, with the amount of power stored in both of my big ones, I can get about 3 days on both my fridge and my freezer. So I should have plenty of time to get them charged up when they're not in use. And eventually I'll get everything wired up so that it all runs together, and the solar panels are dumping into one while the others charge and all that stuff. But I won't get all that worked out for quite some time because I'm going to be living in this 5x10 cargo trailer, and there just isn't room for all of that stuff, plus me sleeping in there. So we'll see how all that goes. But anyway, don't let them tell you that you have to have fiber to go, because it just isn't true. Hopefully some of what I said today made sense. I know this wasn't a great video, but I did run some more on that hill. It's not anything I would call a great run, but it's a good start. That's what I've got for you today, folks. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Oh, here's a quick clip from my dance class yesterday. That's why I didn't go very far today. Have a great day, folks.